Kamala Harris in last night's debate did to Donald Trump exactly what you're supposed to do to bullies. Chris Graham here for Augusta Free Press. So, how you can tell Kamala Harris absolutely cleaned the clock of Donald Trump in last night's debate, he ran to his buddies on Fox and Friends this morning to complain about being unfairly tied to Project 2025. And I'm saying here, Project 2025 should have been the least of his worries given the number of self-owns and own goals. For example, they're eating the dogs. He didn't even get the made up part of that story right. But here's what he complained. Look, they should have corrected her 6 or 7 times. He was talking about with the Project 2025, which, it's that 922-page blueprint for a second Trump administration authored by a group of former top Trump advisors, which he praised at a 2022 event. He said at that time that the people working on the plan were, quote, going to lay the groundwork and detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America. So he goes from there to now trying to say, no, that's not me. It became a dirty word, did Project 2025, after Kevin Roberts, the president of the far right, and Trump aligned Heritage Foundation, which oversaw the drafting of Project 2025. He revealed on a podcast back in July what the motivation behind Project 2025 was. This is the quote from Kevin Roberts. The left has taken over our institutions. The reason they are apoplectic right now, the reason so many anchors on MSNBC, for example, are losing their minds daily is because our side is winning. And so I come full circle on this response and just want to encourage you with some substance that we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. That's the part that did not go over well. And so that's why Trump complained during the debate last night that he has nothing to do with Project 2025. He said it again this morning. They know it has nothing to do with me. He complained to his friends at Fox and Friends. And he's trying, not very successfully, to uh, disavow that Project 2025 document, despite his fingerprints being all over it. She mentioned all night long, and they refused to correct it. Everybody, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. Problem being, Trump and his inner circle have a lot to do with Project 2025. And not that you would doubt what he said during the debate. And here's the quote. He said he's not read it and he's not going to read it. We don't doubt that because we know that Trump doesn't like to read. I mean, he made it clear during his administration he didn't want to read his presidential daily briefing. He had people brief him, and the word brief being important, on the issues of the day, and then he'd watch TV the rest of the day. There's a Streisand effect here to going on Fox and Friends and complaining about Project 2025. Streisand effect being the more you talk about something you don't want talked about, the more it gets talked about and the more people hear about it. But that's just more evidence, if you ask me, of Kamala Harris living rent-free in Donald Trump's head. We had been led to believe by the Trump surrogate stooges in the days leading up to the debate that Kamala Harris was going to be in over her head, that she had flailed miserably in debates in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary, that the lack of sit-down interviews leading up to the debate was a sign that her handlers knew that she would wilt under the glare of anything resembling the spotlight. So that was the supposedly shrinking Violet Kamala Harris, who then set the tone for the debate last night as the two walked onto the stage. Trump, who is nearly a foot taller and easily 150 pounds heavier, he skulked in his rumpled suit in the direction of the podium, and he tried to avoid Harris, who confidently made her way to him to introduce herself, reaching out to shake his hand, her eyes trying to make contact with his, and then Trump did everything he could to avert returning the glaze. Um, it was already over, if you ask me, at this stage. I remember remarking to my wife, we were watching this last night. Man, she just upped him. The little 5'4" prosecutor standing up to the 6'3", 300-pound plus bully, staring him down and putting him literally in his place. We still have the actual debate to go, of course, and the vice president set the first trap for Trump. That's first of many in her answer to her first question on the economy. She brought up Trump's ridiculous tariff plan, in which she called the Trump sales tax, which she said, quote, would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. This put Trump on the defensive. He's not good on the defensive. First of all, he said, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that, though a tariff is a sales tax. It's unbelievable that he doesn't understand that. And he went on to defend his tariff scheme. We are doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world by putting a tax on us that we have to pay when they send us goods. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases, Trump said. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China, which did not happen. Before this exchange was over, that was when Harris put Trump on the defensive on Project 2025. And he tried to pivot for there for some reason to patting himself on the back for the quote phenomenal job with a pandemic that he thinks he did. The next Trump trap was self-inflicted. Moderator Lindsey Davis, who incidentally is a 1995 or 1999 UVA alum, I should say, asked Trump about his flip-flop on the Florida referendum on the state's 6 weeks abortion ban. That was just last week's news. This news happens fast in this cycle. That led to Harris suggesting that Trump would sign a national abortion ban. Davis pressing Trump on the issue because Trump several times refused to answer one way or the other whether he would sign a national abortion ban, which tells you that he will sign a national abortion ban if he's elected and Republicans send one to his desk because he didn't say he wouldn't, and he was given many times to say he wouldn't. And Davis even said then that Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, had said that Trump would veto a national ban. And then that made Trump declare very awkwardly, quote, well, I didn't discuss it with JD. In all fairness, JD, and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. So he doesn't talk to his running mate about things that are important like abortion. Maybe he doesn't talk to him at all for all we know. That was awkwardly revealed there. And again, Trump never said one way or the other whether he would sign a national abortion ban or not. And you can expect this to be front and center in Democrats' messaging going forward. On the next topic, immigration, Trump, I remember saying at the time, he thinks this is going to be his issue. Harris, though, she was given the question first because it was fairly done so. The question was, what could your team, the Biden-Harris team, have done better on border security issues in the first 3.5 years of Biden's term? She blasted Trump for blocking the bipartisan border security bill, which was a fair answer on her part. And then this was the bait. And as a result, he didn't talk about border security in his answer. The bait from Harris was she actually said, I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. Go to a Trump rally where you will, quote, see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about how windmills cause cancer. And what you will notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. Boy, you do not say that to Donald Trump and not have him respond. It was kind of like in the Looney Tunes cartoons when uh a character would paint on like the rock wall a visage of a road, and then the other character would run through it or run into it because they're stupid. Um, that's what Trump did. He actually said all of what follows in one breath. I'm going to see if I'm not going to be able to do it in one breath. Let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. They do. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. This is what's important to him. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country's being lost. We're a failing nation. Can you sense the turn here? And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here? You're going to end up in World War III. Just to go to another subject, what they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. Not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that come in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. This is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. Ball game. As soon as he went on that rant, he put into one breath, my rallies are bigger and they're eating the dogs. It was over. If this was a prize fight, you don't even give him a standing 8 count. Trump himself seemed to concede as much. They actually had pool reporters backstage at the debate because there were no people in attendance at the debate. It was literally the candidates. There was nobody in the lecture hall. It was the candidates and the two moderators from ABC News. and then people backstage, right? So there were two commercial breaks, and during the second commercial break, the pool reporter assigned to monitor how things were going. Kamala Harris stayed out at her lectern. She was writing herself notes. Here's the description of Trump. As soon as the stagehand said they were clear for a 4-minute break, he turned towards the exit, gave a big sigh through closed lips, and walked off the stage without looking at Harris. This is what the guy in the prize fight who just got it handed to him in front of God and the world does. And well, there's that. And then he calls up his friends the next morning to whine about the refs. Poor guy. He can't get out of his own way. Hey, if you've got anything for me in terms of a news tip, any observations, anything you want me to look into, have our staff look into here at Augusta Free Press, please feel free to email me at chris@augustafreepress.com.